Hey guys, Steve here with DAWJunkie, and I'm going to show you how to use the features now of Peggio. Let's start with the Arpeggiator here in the middle because this needs some explanation so you guys can really get the most out of the synth. So let's just start with this block over here called velocity. This is basically the volume of each note. So I'm going to hit a note. All the velocities are max, but if I bring it lower and you can just drag your mouse across while you're holding the left mouse button across the block and adjust different velocities. Hear how it's softer and then loud. And one cool thing you could do is kind of zigzag your mouse across and get different velocities. And it just gives it a little more human random feel, which is cool. And the last feature of how to manipulate these bars is if you hold your right mouse button and you drag, it makes a line as I'm dragging. And that line, as you release, creates a curve. So I can start down low and make steps like that, or start off high and come down low like this. So that is one cool way to manipulate the bars here in the Arpeggiator. Now, if you want to just bring them back to default spots, if you double click on any bar, double click, it puts it back to the default location. So you can adjust bars singly by just taking one bar and dragging up and down. And these numbers here in the top right corner of the block show you which note you're basically hitting. This is the seventh note in this sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, this is the eighth note, but it starts at 0. So it shows you the note of the sequence and then the velocity that you're hitting it at. That's what the second number is. So once you figure this out, you'll be able to manipulate this thing however you want. But like I said, you could use the lines here like this, or you could just do singly one by one, or you could just hover and move across as you're holding your left mouse button down and then adjust the bars that way. So if you want them all at the top, just bring one at the top, drag all the way across, they're all at the top. You want at the bottom, start with one, dragging them all at the bottom. If you want them back to normal spot, double click on any one, it puts it back at normal spot. All right, so let me put them all back at the top. Which brings us to length. This is how long the note is playing for. So I can make it more choppy by just making the length short. Or I could do the same thing. I could draw a line. Or just line like a little like that. Okay, so that's the length of the note that's playing. Same thing. You could double click on any of these, bring them back to the original spot. And then pitch is the pitch of the note. So for every note that's playing in this arpeggio, and you could see them as they go across, lighting up, you could change the pitch. Watch this. I'm just going to drag the mouse across and change the pitch of all these notes. So it's that easy to make a random sequence of notes. Or I could do the line like I did before. Now these have 2 octaves that you could go down and up. 12 is 1 octave up. So let me just put them all back to where they are, or back to the normal spot. So just double click on all of them if you want, put them back to normal spot. And now see that one's on an octave higher. And I can put this one 2 octaves higher. And then you can put these at different spots or go to low. Pretty cool, huh? So that is how you manipulate that. So I wanted to show that first because that's the main instructions I wanted to give. Now, let's go down to these knobs under the Arpeggiator. The ARP on basically turns the Arpeggiator on or off. So if it's off, it's just a normal keyboard. So it's Peggio, so I mainly keep all the presets have it on. There's not one preset that has it all. Steps is how many steps in the sequence you have. Right now it's set at 8, which is right down the middle, but you could adjust it to 16 as the max, or down to 2, or even 1. So that's how many steps of the sequence you have. Cool. So again, let's bring this all back to the factory. And speed is obviously how fast it's going through the sequence. When it's one notch to the right of halfway, that's 1/16 notes. Okay, so that's the speed at which it goes through. Step reset is how many, say it plays 4 notes in, and you want it to start at the beginning every time it hits 4 notes in. That's what step reset is. Right now it's set for nothing. But if I set it for like 4 steps, it's set for 3 there, 4 steps. When it gets to the end of 4 steps in the sequence, it just starts back at the beginning. So maybe I want to go 8. That's what step reset does. So it just allows you to come up with some more different sounding sequences. I guess it has a use. It's kind of useful in some ways. Stride is how many steps of the sequence it skips while it's playing. Like right now it's set for just 1. It's going forward 1 at a time. Say you wanted it to go forward 2 at a time. I could bring this up 1 notch, and now watch the sequence. It skips every second note it plays. And you could go backwards too, backwards. So now it's going backwards sequence. Well, let's put step reset at 0, because then I'm like, screw it up. See? Say you wanted to go backwards every 3rd note. And then you add step reset in there too. It's almost like a randomy kind of different type of sequence. So that's what stride is. It's just how many steps it skips. It's like striding through the notes. So if I put it up high, it's just going to jump all over the place. I typically have it just go straight through, because in this way I can adjust this and then adjust this. Just get a real organic sound. Pattern is whether, you know, the notes are going up in an up motion or in a down motion or in a step up and then step down motion. It's different patterns of how it's playing the notes in the octave. It's different patterns of how the notes are moving through the octaves, which is the next knob here. So if it's right at first, I think this is just going upwards. Right, so it's just going up. I think this is going down. And I think the next one's down and up. Well, let's put our step reset to 0, because that's always going to mess things up if we don't. Okay, hear how it's going up and down through the octaves. Up and down, up and down. Now here's the thing. You might be asking at this point, why don't I put labels on these so that you know what it's doing? I purposely don't do that because I want you to use your ears. And if they're all labeled, you might try to actually hit a certain label that you want to hit without listening to it. That's why I do it. You could, because I want you to find happy accidents in your synths and your sounds. So I don't put labels on anything because I want you to turn the knob and just hear what it does, because that's music. You hear it, rather than see what it does. That's why there's no labels on any of my synths, just so you know. An octave, I'm going to just put this pitch back to where it was. Octave is how many octaves of the arpeggiator we're basically moving through. So if it's set here down the middle, it's just 1 octave. If I go to 2 octaves. 3. You get the idea. And then you could go downwards too. Cool. And then shuffle is like a swing. You basically have a swing vibe to your sounds. The more you turn this up, the more swingy it gets. It's more pronounced when you're going at a slower speed. Dun, 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 dun. It's like riding a horse, you know, galloping. That's the way I always look at it. So that's what shuffle is. It gives you that swing. Order is this button here. It basically has to do with if you're playing a chord, if you look at the picture of me playing the keys, I'm playing 3-note chord here. Order allows it to basically play the arpeggiator at the order you pressed those keys down. The first one, then the second one, then the third one. So if the order button's off, it will basically play in the order that you hit the notes. If it's on, it just goes to a default, starts at the bottom one. Actually, that might be the other way around, on or off. I don't know. I know I made the synth, but there's so many features here, I get confused which one it is. But it doesn't matter, though. Just turn it on and turn it off and see which one you like the best, the way it sounds. You're like probably saying, oh, so professional. I don't care. All right. Down here is a normal envelope of your gain, your volume. So you have attack, delay, sustain, release. Just normal. Turn the release up. Now, if you have the filter on up here, the release gets a little funky. So. Bring the release down. So it's a normal envelope. You guys are probably used to that with synths. This is sustain. This is decay. So if I bring the sustain up and the release up, it's going to be very flowy. And I bring the attack. So slow attack. Ooh. I'm actually going to save this as a preset right now. Ooh, I like that. I'm saving that as a preset. This is going in expansion pack 1. So let me just click up here. Make sure it's in expansion pack 1. I'm going to add that as flowy. So you're going to, if you get expansion pack 1, you just witnessed the making of a preset. So that's what your envelope does down here. So I'm going to put the attack back down low. Bring this down and make it slow or a low release because it's an arpeggiator. It needs to be snappy. Cool. And then here, these are cool. These are samples. Like if you turn these on or off, this is typing. It's literally a sample of a typewriter key being pressed. You hear it? And this is the volume of it. That's cool. And then this one's kind of an old-timey piano sound. If you actually listen to the samples, just the samples on their own, they're actually not that crisp, but it just added something cool to the sound I liked. So that's a piano sample. And then these are the volumes of the samples. So you can you can mix and match them. Let me turn shuffle off here. And then this is a plucky sound. This one here. This synth is also playing. I'm just going to turn the volume down on this so you can just hear the pluck. So that's what that is. Pluck 1, and then you have pluck 2. And you can layer them both on top of each other. Get a cool stereo sound. And you can turn a synth on top of that. And another synth. We'll get to the synths later. But that's how you get cool sounds. Oops. And then you have an organ sample. And a tick from it's actually tick-tock from a clock. I think it's from a grandfather clock. So there are just some fun things you could layer into your sounds. This HPF stands for high pass filter. So this just takes the lows out. So I got some lows going on in there. And if I want to take the lows out of the sound, just crank this up. Makes it tinny. It's a cool thing if you want to automate that. I don't typically have it on much because I want the full sound, but I needed something. I needed a spot. There was a spot, an empty spot here. I needed to fill it with something, so I just put that there. Pitch makes the pitch kind of go just wacko. Very self-explanatory. Scoop is a little pitch bend at the very beginning of a sound. And when it's right in the middle, you're not going to hear anything. But as you move it up one way, you're going to hear a little pitch bend right at the beginning. And the more you move it, the more pronounced it is. And then left of the middle is from the other direction. Make sense? All right, unison is how many sounds are basically playing on top of each other. You can just kind of layer the same sound on top of each other. So it gives it... This is more straight down the middle, kind of plain. And if you put unison on, you start to hear layers. Let me turn delay off here. And reverb. And width is how wide, like how much of a stereo field these layered sounds go into. So if I turn it down, it's straight down the middle mono. Actually, let's turn detune down. Straight down the middle mono. Width is how wide. And detune is how much the tuning is being changed between all those layered notes. So it could get kind of crazy. Oh, the scoop. Let me turn that stupid scoop off. There we go. So turning detune down is more straight down the middle. Turning it up, it's more like an EDM kind of lead sound, which sounds kind of cool, actually. I'm sorry, I had that scoop on. That was messing things up. But you get the idea. Same thing with width. It's just how stereo-y you made it. There's very wide. There's not wide. Very wide, not wide. Get the idea? And then this EQ over here is low, mids, highs. This is just a normal little 3-band EQ. If you need more bass, turn that up. Need more mids, turn it up. Need more highs, turn it up. Good deal? And then you could double click on any of these, bring them back to the middle if you want them right down the middle. Okay, so that's here. Before we get to the effects, let's go up to the synth section now. You have 2 synthesizers. You have just one, like I just say normal waveforms because these are basic waveforms of a synthesizer, like that most, synths have. You got sine wave, triangle wave, sawtooth wave, and square wave. And you can cycle through them with this shape here. Change the octave. Change the tuning. Let me turn the volume down to this one so you can hear it. So this is just this one playing right now. Okay? And then this is actually a wavetable synthesizer. So let me turn this one down. Turn the volume up of this guy. And you could change the position of what wave is playing. This is what a wavetable synthesizer is. It's like a bunch of waveforms all smashed into one little line here. And you could change which wave is actually playing with this one. And it sounds cool when you move this while you're playing. So that's what sweep does. If you turn sweep on, it actually moves it every time a note hits. That's what, and this attack is how fast it moves through there. So check this out. So you get some movement in there. And then you could actually choose from, I think, 15 wavetables to choose from to get different sounds here on this one. These tables are from Ocean Swift. Ocean Swift is a good company for wavetable creation. It's cool stuff. So you might notice if you are Ocean Swift customer that these are very similarly named to some of their wavetables. I used them from their wavetable pack that I bought. So shout out to them. They helped me. They unknowingly helped me a lot with my synthesizers, with their wavetable stuff. I like them. All right, so that's what that is. So you can pick from 15 different wavetables and adjust the position and the attack of that wave. Good deal. Then you have a normal just filter over here. Turn that on. And you have the cutoff. This is resonance. This filter doesn't have it. This one has resonance. An envelope is how much of this thing over here, this filter envelope, is being applied to the sound. So right now this filter envelope is set to really give you a plucky type of sound. Let me just turn the delay up. So this is the attack, hold, and decay, similar to this envelope, but only for the filter every time a note gets hit. So watch what happens when I bring the decay down. It's going to be very snappy. That's how you get plucks. And like I said, this knob controls how much of all this jazz is getting attached to the filter. So if you want more of a plucky sound, turn the envelope up and turn the decay down. That's how you get some real plucks. So you want envelope high, decay down for real hard-hitting plucks. And then you could mess with the attack, the hold time. And just dial in the sound you want. So you have to, I guess, be a little familiar with filters to really dial it in exactly. But just turn all the knobs and see what it does. You can't break anything here. But that's what this is. These are the filter controls, attack, hold, and decay. And this is how much of this filter is being applied, or how much of this envelope is being applied to the actual filter. And you have 5 different types of filters. Okay? That's that. And then finally, we have the effects section down here. We have a saturation and a bit crusher. This is the amount of saturation. And how much of this saturation mix is going into the mix. Let me turn the bit crusher off. So you can see it's very... It gets kind of fun when these are turned all the way up. But if you just want some warmth added, just bring them down a little lower. You'll still hear the difference. Just some warmth. And then crush and mix is the bit crusher. And you can mix and match the two. So have fun with that. And then this is a compressor here. So it gives you a little more added pluck because I have the attack and release set kind of low on this compressor. So this T stands for threshold. At the bottom, the threshold's very low. So that actually means it's kind of in reverse. It actually means a lot of compression is being applied when the T is low. When the T's up at the top, almost no compression is being assigned. And this is makeup gain. This is how much volume you're adding to the sound after it comes through the compressor. Because if you really squash it, the volume is going to be really low, so you have to turn the volume up. But then if you put it really low, this R stands for ratio. This is the threshold and this is the ratio. So it gives you, when you adjust these the way you want them to your taste, it gives you more snap at the very beginning of the sound. So here's with no compression. Here's with compression. Hear that snap at the beginning? So adjust it to your taste and then adjust the volume at the end. That's without it. That's with it. You got more snap. If you adjust these too wildly wrong, it's not going to sound great. So just mess around with them till they sound good to you. This is a phaser. Feedback of the phaser. And then speed. How fast it's actually phasing. Pretty simple. And then you have delay and reverb. Left and right, the time of the delay coming through your left speaker and your right speaker. Let me turn these up. So if you want longer pauses between the delay, bring it low. If you want quick delays, bring it high. I like hitting a note and then adjusting these as the note's being hit just to hear what's coming through the speakers. Like I like that. And then feedback is how many times it actually delays, the sound actually delays. If you turn it all the way up, it's just going to go forever. It's like not going to stop. So bring it down to a suitable level. And mix is how much delay is being applied to the actual signal. And then you have reverb. It's like an echo, or like it's being broadcasted through a big room. This is the size of the room. This is how much highs we're taking out of the sound. No highs taken out. Not being damped at all. Very bright. Damps it a little bit. Hey, that's not straight. I'm gonna move that the word damp over a little bit. You guys are watching me in full-on creator mode here. All right. And then wide is like how wide stereo-wise the reverb's coming through. Wide is down at the bottom. It's straight down the middle. And then mix is how much reverb is being applied to the signal. All right, I think we covered everything. And then except up here. Volume, obvious, the volume control of the entire signal. This is your preset browser. You could get to the presets by clicking here. And you have, if you bought the expansion pack, you'll see it here. Otherwise, you have your factory presets. You just pick one. Okay, and then if you want to get out of the preset browser, you just click back up here again. Now, many people weren't getting that, so they weren't able to get out of the browser. They forgot they clicked this, or they didn't know that you have to click this to get back out. That's why I added this little library icon. It does the same thing as clicking on the name of the preset. It turns the browser on and off. So I figured between both of these buttons, people will figure out that this is how you get out of there. And then I added these two, a gear. Only thing that this has right now is the pitch bend amount. But as I add more settings to the synth that aren't on the main page. They'll be put into where the gear is. Right now, as I'm starting developing, right now the only thing is pitch bend them out. And then this is where you got to this video. It's just an info. It basically tells you the version of the synth you're using. Right now we're on 1.0. But then watch this video to learn how to use Peggio quickly and easily. You click that, you get to this video. So it's kind of like a loop. If you're watching this and I'm telling you to do this and you click that again, you're just going to start at the beginning. It's kind of a paradox. I think that's what that means. And then that's pretty much it. Info, settings, browser. All right, guys. That is it for this how to use Peggio video. I think I got a little too loud, close to the mic and too loud, so if it distorts a little bit, sorry about that. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get a lot out of Peggio here. It's a fun synth. Every one I finish, I'm always like, this is my favorite one. But right now, this is kind of my favorite one because it could get very beautiful. But it could get however you want it, depending on these sounds, because you got all kinds of options. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know. And if you have any questions, just hit us up at DAWJunkie.com. And you go to the contact page, and I usually respond pretty quick. All right. Have a good one.